Oh, can we see me? Not quite yet. Now we can see me. Hello, everyone. Just welcoming everyone back from lunch. If you were here this morning, you got to see PJ give us a lovely GitHub 101 session. We are now going to do a 102 session for the afternoon, followed by Ari from GitHub Learn, who will also be doing a session on skills and custom skills building exercises. If you want to begin to familiarize yourselves a little bit with GitHub Learn, I'm going to drop a few links in the chat so you can start going through those a little bit. And this afternoon in GitHub 102 with PJs, we're going to do some merge conflict resolving. We're going to learn a little bit more about some special tools, including like issues and other things that will help you with some of your project management. And then after that, Ari will pop in for his session. I will be adding those links to the chat, and PJ will get started in just a couple of minutes.
I've got a song stuck in my head and it's always there. It's been there since this morning. I'm constantly like dancing and moving and singing. Welcome back, everybody. GitHub 102. We did 101 earlier today. 101 was about familiarizing ourselves with the platform, understanding the basic concepts and ideas of Git in order to better understand GitHub. I'm super stoked to be back. I had Korean leftovers for lunch. It was a great idea. And outside of my apartment, they are cutting down a giant tree. So I hope no one's able to hear this chainsaw that is popping up every once in a while in my ears. As long as y'all can't hear it through the microphone, we're good. I'm super excited to be back. This session is going to be a little shorter, and we're going to get to some agentic stuff afterwards. But like Morgan said, we are covering merge conflicts in this. We're going to actually create a merge conflict, and then we are going to fix it using GitHub. And then we're going to talk about project management, and the project management section is going to be a bit longer. I'm going to give you all some time to mess around with some project management tools similar to the profile README one. Again, you learn best by doing, and so we want to make time for y'all to actually be able to do stuff. So let's talk about this. The intro agenda, again, about 10 minutes. Merge conflicts, 25, very likely closer to like 30, 35 minutes, like a little longer than 25 minutes. I think I was being it's merge conflicts are kind of a hard concept at first, but fixing them can be pretty easy depending on the merge conflict. So it might be a little longer than 25 minutes. Project management is the actual activity on this. There is a merge conflict activity on the Learn with PJ website if you're interested. And let me, real quick, grab that website for y'all. So Learn with PJ. Just a reminder that this is a website that has several GitHub 101 and 102 activities inside of it. And what they have inside of here is creating a profile README, which we did before. There's a collaborative activity if you wanted to get some friends together and learn about how to collaborate on GitHub. We're not going to have time or the ability to do that here. But creating and solving a merge conflict is something you can do on your own. I'm not going to make you all do that today, but that's helpful for you to understand a merge conflict. And then we're using issues in projects. This is going to be the activity y'all will be doing later on. So learning issues in projects, that'll be later. But all of the activities are here at learnwithpj.com. And if we don't do any of it, you can always do it on your own. They're good activities. They're useful and helpful. So merge conflicts, and then afterward project management, where you actually get to play around with the tools and such. So let's get right into the merge conflict. So a merge conflict is when Git doesn't know what changes you want to keep when you're doing a merge. And remember, the merge is the moment where you've got two branches, right? There's the main branch and then your branch that comes off of it. That's like a feature branch or something, and you're adding commits, and eventually you're going to merge that back in. When you're going to merge it back in, a merge conflict is Git saying, hey, there's something happening here that shouldn't be happening. Something is different that I wasn't tracking. Now, that sounds like complicated. Why wasn't Git tracking it? Well, we're going to talk about how this works. So merge conflict occurs. Two branches have modified the same line of text in the same file. So when that happens, Git doesn't know what change you want to keep. So the best way to avoid merge conflicts is actually really good communication, using issues really well, messaging developers, having clear scopes of who's working on what, planning things out. The software development lifecycle is more than just writing the code. In fact, the most important part, I argue, about software development is planning out your software development and making a plan beforehand. If you just open up an editor and start ripping off code, like you're going to have a bad time. So planning things out beforehand is very important. So the reason a merge conflict happens is we know that Git keeps track of changes made to a file. Conceptually, in order to keep track of changes to a file, you have to know two things. The first thing you have to know is, what does the file look like right now? The second thing is, what is the file going to look like? What are the changes? A merge conflict happens when the original file, the expected file that Git is merging from changes, looks different than the Git system believes it should. So when that original file that the change is coming into looks different, Git stops everything and says, stop, there's a merge conflict. I can't merge these. You have to tell me what to keep and what to get rid of. So when the idea for what Git has changed, Git checks with you. So let's visualize this in a step-by-step process that I spent not hours on, but I spent a decent amount of time getting the animation for this up, and I'm a little proud of myself. I'm not quite a graphic designer, but I'm very excited about this. Okay, first off, main branch, right? We all know at this point that the main branch is the branch that you are deploying your code from. This is the website, this is the app, this is the thing that works. From main, you can make new branches. And so from main, let's say we make branch A. That's a copy of main. Right now, main branch and branch A look exactly the same. No commits have happened, no changes have happened. At the same time, we're creating branch B. All right, so these two branches currently with no commits look exactly like main. Every file looks exactly the same. Making the branch doesn't change anything. So let's say branch A makes a change to file.py, right? A Python file. Branch A makes that change, but branch B makes a change to the same file and changes the same lines. So far, this is all allowed because we're on separate branches here, right? No problems have occurred yet, but this is the action that will cause a merge conflict, changing the same lines. So this next order of operations is important. We merge branch A in here, and I'm using the triangle here to indicate that's a merge action right there. So now main has changes to file.python in it that branch A made. Down in branch B, when this branch goes to merge, that's going to lead to a merge conflict, and here's why. Remember, branch B believes that file.py looks like it did in main, back here. Because branch A made a change to that file and merged it in, file.py looks like it did here in branch A now. That's the change that got merged in. So now Git here, when we try to merge, it looks at file.py on branch B. And it says, all right, those are the changes. And when it goes to look at what file.py used to look like, all it sees is this change. And it says, stop, I don't know what to do. That's a merge conflict. We're going to look at one in action. I have a merge conflict I'm going to create for you, and we're going to see how to fix this now. Again, the best way to fix a merge conflict is to communicate ahead of time and to not have the merge conflict. However, GitHub comes with some really useful tools to help you with fixing merge conflicts. All right, let's see one in action. And what I'm going to do is not that. Yeah, that works. And I also have Edge open here. So on my screen right now, you can see I have two different browsers. And this is on purpose because I need to be able to see two different accounts for this to work. So on the left, ooh, come on, drag down. What's that not working? 1 second, y'all. Sorry, my computer is being obstinate. And arc. Let's see, can I drag it down now? Of course not. Why would I be able to do that? All right, 1 second, y'all. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, on the left is an Arc browser. I'm logged in as Metz and Around, which is my work account. That's my personal and work account, okay? It's got a dark background, so you'll see on the left is going to be the dark mode, Metz and Around. On the right, this is my student account, which is called Best Student. Again, hilarious. You're welcome. And you'll see it's a light mode. So you'll always be able to tell which one I'm on. And it's a little helpful that there's a pink border here and a green border here. So we can tell the difference here. But these two accounts are about to create a merge conflict. Now, this is a repository that I created that is its only purpose is to show how a merge conflict works. Inside of it, you can see there's a README that has a title, Merge Conflict Demo, demonstrating a merge conflict and resolution, and we're pretending to have some team information inside of this README. Team information, team name is the first repo, team motto is making a Metz one day at a time, and team members is Metz and Around, my main account, best student, which is my student account, and best teacher, which is my teacher account. So right now, this is the main branch. This is how it looks. I have created a branch for best student that has no changes on it, but I also need to create a branch over here. So I'm going to show you a different way to create a branch real quick. Right here, I'm going to be over here on Metz and Around in dark mode. I'm going to click main, and I can start typing a new branch name, and I'm going to do Metz and Around dash branch dash changes. Now, I didn't mention this before, but when you're making branch names, you don't use spaces, you use dashes. So it's a single string with no spaces in it. So you'll see once I type a branch that doesn't exist, we get this option, create branch, Metz and Around branch changes from main, and that's what we want to do. So Currently, both branches look exactly like main. So this side is going to be best student branch changes. You'll see its branch is up to date with main right here. It lets us know. And over here, Metz and around branch changes. So we can see best student branch changes, Metz and around branch changes. Both of them are up to date with main. They both look the same right now. We are still at this first step right here in the PowerPoint, branch A and branch B, and pardon my all my animation numbers there. But branch A and branch B, the same as main right now. That's where we are in this process. So what we need to do is we need to make some commits. Now, earlier I showed you how to use the web editor. I'm going to do a little bit of a faster way of editing these files because I don't need a whole web editor and stuff like that. These are just pretty simple markdown documents. So I'm going to click this pencil right here that says Edit File. When I click that, it shows me the file in its raw markdown. You can see an H1 here, merge conflict demo, the little subtitle, team information, all that stuff. So I'm going to change the team name to the Metziest repo. This is an old family tradition. My last name's Metz, and using it as a pun for the word mess has been maybe our favorite thing in the whole world. So the Metziest repo, making a Metz, this is all top-notch stuff for my family and our puns. So making a Metz, let's change this to one pull request with too many spaces. Pull request at a time. What is happening there? I keep doing that. All right. Making a Metz one pull request at a time, and then the team members, I'm just going to get rid of these parentheses. I don't think we really need those. So now I've made some substantial changes to this file. Line 7, 10, and 13 through 15 have all been changed now. I'm going to commit these changes. Well, actually, let me go over here and open up. We've got this branch here. So if we commit these changes to the Metz and around branch changes, nothing's going to go wrong, right? This branch is already over here. It's unaffected by other branches. So I'm going to click commit. I'm going to say my commit message is making small changes to prepare for merge conflict. And I'm going to commit directly to the Metz and around branch changes branch, and I'm going to click commit changes. And now that commit is done, and it's on that branch now. And this is how that branch looks. Metziest repo, one pull request at a time, and no parentheses. Let's real quick head back here to code. And you can see main still says the first repo, still says one day at a time, and still has the parentheses. I'm going to click here and check out best student. Best student looks exactly the same as main right now. No changes on best student yet. However, right here, Metz and around branch changes. You can see the Metziest repo, one pull request at a time, and we no longer have the parentheses here. Okay. That's ready for us to cause a merge conflict now. I'm going to go over and I'm going to make some changes to the best student. So I'm moving over here to Edge, and I'm going to click the README, and I'm going to click this edit button right here. Let's make some changes. Instead of Metziest, I'm going to say the most Metzy, making a Metz one merge conflict at a time. And instead of the parentheses being gone, I'm just going to make it a little simple. It's main student teacher. I don't need to say account, account, account. That's a little bit repeating myself. Not very dry of me, is it? Don't repeat yourself. I'm going to commit these changes to this branch, the best student branch. Update team name and motto. There you go. Thank you, Copilot. And I'm going to commit these changes as well. Still no problems. We're on separate branches, right? We are here. A change has been made to the file, and a change has been made to the file. The same lines, the same parts have been changed, and they're going to look different from each other now. Remember, the merge conflict doesn't show up until you're merging the second piece. So let's head back here, and let's make a pull request. So Metz and around is going to create a pull request for his branch. We're going to click compare and pull request. And we're going to breeze through this this pull request real quick, making small changes, prepping for merge conflict. The README is going to be different. I'm going to create the pull request. And just for a good measure, let's go ahead and create the pull request over here on the best student one as well. Remember, nothing happens when you create the pull request. It's when you go to merge it that's a problem. Actually, let me think about this real quick. No, I'm going to wait to do that. Okay. So over here, prepping for merge conflict, no conflicts with base branch, no big deal. Merge pull request, confirm merge. Merged. Going to delete that branch because we're done with it. And now main is going to look a little different. Main says the Metziest repo now instead of the first repo. It says one pull request at a time instead of one day at a time, and the parentheses are missing. Over here, this branch was made from the main branch that used to exist, but now there's going to be a problem, right? Just like we saw here in this, this merge is fine. No big deal. This is the merge where the merge conflict is about to show up. So I'm going to create a pull request. We're going to go main from the best student, and you can see already GitHub is saying you cannot automatically merge this. However, don't worry, you can still create the pull request. So this is what's good. You can still make the pull request and you can actually fix the possible merge conflict in the pull request. So update team name and motto in README. Second PR, which by the way, a PR is a pull request in GitHub parlance. So second PR for the merge conflict demo. I'm going to create this pull request. And like I said, even though we can't merge, that's okay. Because what we want to see is right here. This branch has conflicts that must be resolved. Use the web editor or the command line to resolve conflicts before continuing. And you'll see merge conflict is just blocked. Now, a lot of people, when they get to this part of a merge conflict, they start to worry they've broken something. I messed up. No, I shouldn't have done this. Oh no, everything's broken. Everyone's going to be mad at me. This is not the case. In this case, what GitHub is doing is keeping you from merging because it wouldn't work, because it's going to cause a problem. So in order to fix that, we have to resolve the conflicts. And we can either edit it on the web, or in this case, it says you want to fix it with Copilot. We don't need Copilot to fix this. So I'm going to click edit on the web. And I'm going to expand this so we're only working in this now. This is all we have to worry about. When I clicked fix in the web, it takes me to this area inside of the pull request tab where it shows me there's one conflicting file, and it shows me specifically what the problem is. Now, this is all a very new looking thing for a lot of y'all. What this is showing me is, hey, this section from the angled brackets down to the dash at line 17, that's the best student branch, okay? That is the, quote, current change. So in this pull request, the current change is the version of the file that we're trying to merge into main. The incoming change is something that was changed about main underneath our branch that conflicts. And what you can do is you can either accept the current change, you can accept the incoming change, or you can accept both changes. Now, you can click any one of these and it'll just do the thing. But I've always been more comfortable with doing it like this. Basically, what this file is showing you, it's showing you the conflict. And it's saying, how should this file look? How? And I think it's easiest to actually go in and just make the file look the way it is supposed to. And in this case, what I want is the team motto to be making a Metz one merge conflict at a time. I want there to be the parentheses because I find that a little nicer rather than no parentheses. But I do like the Metziest repo. So what I'm going to do is, this is an editor. I can go in and I can just highlight this and I'm just going to delete it. And notice all of that stuff has now disappeared, right? like all the accept current change incoming. When I get rid of this part up at the top, accept current change and all that disappears. My job now is to just make this file look the way I want it to. So I said earlier, I want to keep the team members and team motto, but the team name, I want it to be the Metziest repo. So let me copy this. I'm copying line 15. Let's do team name again. And right here, we'll put the Metziest repo, team members, and from line 15 down to 25, this is the stuff I don't want anymore. Just going to delete that, get rid of that. We just want one trailing line there. And now this is how I want it to look. I have edited the file such that it looks the exact way I prefer it to. And now what I can do is up here, I can click Mark as resolved. And when I click that, I can click Commit Merge. And this takes me back to the pull request. What this has done is now the file that I had here, it shows me the changes here now. I got rid of that space here between team information and team name. It says the Metziest repo. It used to be one pull request at a time. Now it's one merge conflict. It used to be no parentheses. Now it's these. And you can see essentially we've adjusted it. Now it's going to look the exact way I want it to. And we did it all inside of this pull request. We didn't turn a create and then this branch main into best student branch changes. So it's the changes in main that brought them in to this particular file. You'll see instead of most Metzi, it's now Metziest. This is the only thing that we brought in from main. We just kept Metziest. All right, so now if we look at main, main says Metziest repo. It says one pull request at a time, and it has no parentheses. But if we look at the best student branch, still Metziest, but now it's one merge conflict, and we've got the single word parentheses here as well. So let's get back to this pull request and let's merge it, and then main will be updated the way we want it to for this particular situation. So I click merge request, I click confirm merge, pull request successfully merged and closed. I'm going to delete my branch. And now, when we look at the code tab and when we look at main, the Metziest repo, instead of pull request, it's merge conflict. And we have these single word parentheses here. So that's a merge conflict. And like I mentioned before, if you look at the Learn with PJ website, there is a merge conflict activity that you can do there, creating and solving a merge conflict. This is great for you to do on your own time. It is also a group activity, so it requires a couple of other people. But if you've got like a second account, you can do it like I did, where I have these two accounts that I practice on. You can also create your own merge conflicts all on your own by having two branches you made by yourself and merging one that changes the file. So you can have merge conflicts with one user causing it. It doesn't have to be separate users. It can be one user that creates their own merge conflict. That's entirely possible too. But the most common way is definitely going to be multiple users inside of a thing. Okay. Before we move back to the PowerPoint to talk more about how to keep merge conflicts from happening and wrapping that up, I want to leave time for any questions about merge conflicts and what we just learned here in that process. Let me check the Q&A. Multiple files with conflicts. So if it's multiple files, I believe that if you're fixing it on .com, on github.com, there's a certain number of files where like you kind of have to you can't use the web editor anymore when it gets too complex. And when it gets really complex, you might need to do something called a git rebase. But what I usually do is if I encounter a merge conflict and it looks kind of like exceedingly difficult, and it's between like, say, my local repo and like my remote repo. Excuse me 1 second. excuse me. Um, I've just like kind of like been like, okay, I've messed something up. I need to fix it. And what I'll do is I'll go into like make a new branch and kind of make it look the way I want it to and be like, okay, that's my new thing, and kind of just delete the branch where the merge conflict happened. That's really not best practice, but I'll tell you what, it gets the job done when, especially when it's a solo project. So multiple files, there's a bunch of different things you have to do. Solving merge conflicts with rebase. So there's a couple things inside of like the docs, for instance, that can cause that. So, or that can be used to fix that. I always do that. Oops. Da-da-da. So let me see. Sorry, that's the wrong one. I'm very used to a shortcut I have in Art that lets me just hit some keys and it copies the URL. And in Edge, it doesn't do that. It opens the tools page. All right, 1 second. Come on. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm commenting in the right spot. There we go. Yeah, here's the docs for, I believe it was Jubain who asked that. That's it in Q&A. Anyone in the chat having an issue? Okay. Nice. All right, how can it be handled when there are several users and everyone wants to change their branch and merge it with main? Should they ask for permission from the admin? Yes, like quite literally, like if everyone's making changes and they're all trying to push it to main and they're all changing the same file, that's a project that's having some kind of issue or problem with the, not the architecture, but sort of the design of the project. If everyone's trying to do that, you're only going to have problems. So the best thing to do in the situation that I'm seeing down in the, I believe this is the real-time translated area down at the bottom of Teams. They should be communicating with the admin and with each other in order to make sure everyone knows exactly what they should be working on. So I'd say that it's important to communicate in that situation. But yes, main branch protection can also help with that. It won't ever come in and you'll be able to decide what gets merged in as an admin. Sweet, love it. Okay. All right, I need to get back to my PowerPoint and we'll play from the current slide and get rid of the closed captioning because we already have that here. All right, we saw one in action. So here's how we avoid merge conflicts and what we can do to make sure that they are not happening as we're working. The first thing is to communicate. Know who's working on what, ensure everyone in the group knows what to edit and not to edit. And one of the best ways to do that is already inside of GitHub, and it's issues and project management tools. If you are proactively planning out who works on what, you should encounter less merge conflicts. But inevitably, people's work can end up touching the same files. You know where this happens a lot is in like package lock.json and things like that are keeping track of like dependencies and things like that, or the types of files that kind of keep track of who has what and where. Like that's the kind of place where these things can happen a lot more. So keeping in mind, if you're like working on separate parts of a project, two people, same project, but different parts, be aware that if you're adding something like a dependency in order to work on your section, it needs to be well documented how you're bringing that into the entire project. That can lead to a problem later on. So there's not usually, there can be times where two developers' work kind of touch the same file or get near the same thing. But open communication and issues and assigning issues to people can help keep that from happening as often. Using git fetch and git pull frequently. Keep your branch updated. You always want to know what changes are being made while your branch is open. So making sure that when you start work, you hit git pull immediately. I had stopped working locally for a while. I've been doing everything like in the browser. I've been using code spaces and the web editor and stuff like that. So I haven't been working locally, but I started doing it much more often in the past few months because I'm working more with the Copilot CLI, which is an amazing tool. And in order to do that with the CLI, it would work on my local repo. So I would have it help me make new pages. I would have it help me, figure out ways that I can, my website, that Learn with PJ website, I built it with Copilot's help. So if I want to use the CLI, it needs to be local. So I started working local again. And I remember when I started doing it again, I would forget to do git pull. And I would do like 45 minutes of work and be like, I didn't pull. Okay. So I always have to like go and pull and hope that like something I had merged earlier that someone else has merged earlier isn't causing a problem. But git fetch to see if there's changes, git pull to bring the changes down. That can help avoid merge conflicts as well, because the changes that happened on the server will now be in your local machine. The final advice is actually small pull requests and quick commits. You really don't want your branches to be open too long. The longer they're open, the more that can change kind of underneath your branch. So if you imagine your branch coming off of main, while it's over here and open and you're working on it, other people on your team are doing PRs and merges, and all these changes are happening. So you don't want your branch open for like months. Like that's asking for trouble. So make your changes, make your commit, make the PR, and bring it in. Nobody likes a 1,000-line PR. That's way too much. And if you talk to people that are like dealing with folks that are like using a lot of like agentic AI and like generative AI to write their code, one of the issues that a lot of people can have is like you get so excited about what you can build and you have this massive PR that's 1,000 lines long or 800 lines long. And that's a really hard amount of code to review and make sure it works. So small PRs, quick commits, that makes merge conflicts a lot less likely. All right, we're going to move on to project management. Yes, PR is a pull request. That is our little nickname for it. Although I'm half Puerto Rican, so every time I say PR, I think Puerto Rico. So, but I've been in tech long enough that PR means pull request most of the time. Before I fully move on to project management over here, I want to leave time for any other questions as well about merge conflicts and how to resolve it. Is my favorite thing as a teacher is like the silence and make sure that like people feel awkward so they know they can just ask a question to break the silence. Thanks. I'm glad those tips helped. Let me check the Q&A. I see a little dot there. After you merged, you deleted your local branch. Yes. Why did I delete the branch? Absolutely. So deleting a branch is really just kind of like cleaning up your repo. Once the branch is merged, you don't need it anymore. And I'd prefer to delete branches and just get them out of there, because the next time I need to make a change, I'll make a branch specifically for that change. And that's kind of my preferred way to work. I'd rather make a new branch every time I have a change. I think keeping branches open can kind of clutter things up a little bit sometimes. You can even set it up in your repo that when you do a merge request, it can automatically delete the branch that was merged because you truly don't need it anymore. If you want to keep it open and keep adding new commits to it, like you could, but my preferred workflow, and I'm pretty sure best practices, is like when you're making a new change, make a new branch, because the new branch should be like named after whatever change you're trying to do and stuff like that. So that's explained. Okay. So if GitHub could indicate that someone else had already pulled what you're trying to pull, so you don't end up with the merge conflict. That could work. I do like that it says, hey, there's going to be a merge conflict, but we can fix it later. If it's one file, that's a very easy fix. But the idea of saying like, someone else already pulled and has modified that file, that's probably a harder system to get to communicate. But you can always see what other branches are open in a repo. So if you look at branches, and let's say you're working on a team project with a team, and you've got a convention on that team that every branch has to have the username of the person who created it, right? And that could be a good way to always know whose branch it is and what's going on. So you can always see a bunch of branches, and as a person working on the project, you could even look at the branches and see what's different on them. And you could check ahead of time. But yeah, if GitHub were able to go, hey, you both are changing the same file, it's a little hard to do that. I think at the time of the PR is okay, mostly. But I hear what you're saying. Okay. Let's talk about project management. So this is specifically using GitHub tools that we have to help you stay organized and to plan in the same place that you are doing work. So to make sure we're all on the same page. Oh, I just saw another question. When you open a branch, can you limit when you pull out? No. When you make a branch, it is a copy of the full code base and whatever branch you made the new branch from. So if you make a branch from main, it's all of that. And the reason it's all of that is so that you can, in the branch, you can actually run, let's say you're building a website, you could run your website locally and look at it on like localhost. You want to be able to do that directly from a branch. And so you need all the files there. Same if you're working on an app, you want to be able to run the app as it exists on the branch for testing purposes. So you wouldn't want to make a branch that just has like one file change in it. That sort of goes against the way Git operates. So it's always going to be all of them. All right. So what is project management? So project management is keeping track of the work. It's ensuring delivery of the final project, whatever that is, and it's knowing what the next steps are at any given time. So in keeping track of work, the questions we're asking are what's completed, what is left to be done, and who's responsible for what. When you're looking to ensure the delivery, it's, well, what's the due date? What does the finished product look like? What does finished look like? And this is a hard part of planning. You don't just say, I'm going to build a website. You need to know how it's going to look at the end in order to know when you're done, right? And then finally, an approval process for the final project as well. Who's in charge? Who has final say? Who merges the PRs? Things like that. And then knowing next steps. Literally, what should we do first? Why should we do it first? And then what's the order of operations for building this? And project management is one of those jobs and collections of tools that is something that a lot of students don't know about when they're like looking to get a job. Every student thinks they're only going to be like a software engineer, but a person with a technical background who wants to do project management could be the person who like leads a team of engineers to complete some kind of feature for a company. So project management is super important, and the person and the tools that they use should be the kind of tools that make things easier to do and to delegate and to understand what's happening. Project management tools are really about effective communication in a team for work to be done. So GitHub has a bunch of project management tools that are just automatically included inside of GitHub. And this makes it really easy to start planning out the work you want to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually check out a couple of these tools today. The first one we've actually talked about before, and that's issues. Issues are where you plan out the work that you and your team will be doing. Each issue is a single piece of work, and they are collaborative environments. And I'll go ahead and say right now, I did do a screenshot of an issue that we had in our education repository. We, on the education team at GitHub, are a collection of mostly PMs. There's 8 of us, I think. But none of us are really like super technical. We're not writing code for work, really. We're definitely not putting stuff into production. Oh man, I hope none of my code has made it into production except for like my little Learn with PJ website. That's fine, but I am not writing code for GitHub to build GitHub. That's a bunch of very smart engineers' jobs. But we on the education team, despite not being a team of engineers, we use issues for everything. When we have an event, we have an issue for it. The planning of this entire summit took place in several different issues. And so when you think about project management tools, and when you think about issues especially, it's not just build a website, build an app. We're using it for our own education work of working with teachers and students. But the idea is it's all about some kind of work to be done. And inside of issues, like I said, you can assign it to people, you can have labels. We're going to go over all of that. And one of the great things about issues is it can be organized into what are called projects. Now in GitHub, a GitHub project is a specific tool. Sometimes people will be like, oh, this is my project, and they'll show you a repository. Some people use those interchangeably, but capital P projects, that is a GitHub tool on the platform that is to help you keep your issues and pull requests organized. So a project can be a tracking tool for what work is left to be done, for who's responsible for what, for due dates and things like that. And we're going to be talking about how you can utilize projects for yourself. And then milestones, due dates. You can create due dates and you can assign those due dates to an issue or a PR, and now you'll know exactly when you have to have that done by. So these are the 3 project management tools that we're going to be going over today that exist inside of GitHub. And by the end of today, you'll have a better idea of like how you can utilize them and why you would utilize them as well. So just like before, let's go ahead and see some projects in action. Bingo. Okay, so let me switch to my student account real quick, and it's going to switch to light mode. So best student, right? This repository is my repository called Fake Website Learning Issues Projects. And this is another repo that I made that's just to show off GitHub features to y'all. So you can see it just has a README. There's no code in here at all, but it does have a bunch of issues. So let's click into the issues up here. And when you have a bunch of issues, this is what it looks like when you're looking at that full list. You can see a title right here. You can see a number. Every issue is numbered based on when it's created inside a repository. Issues are tied to repos. Issues do not go across repos. There's a repo and there's an issue list inside of there. And it is specific to that repository. And so you'll see there's always a number for each issue. So you can refer to them as issue number 13, but there's also a title, fix the 404 handling and add a friendly not found page. You see it's been labeled with a label called bug and one called front end. You can see who opened it and how long ago they opened it. So down here is where you can see all these issues. Up here in the search bar, there's a couple of things you can do, like only show me ones with the label bug, but also type bug correctly. And when you do this and hit enter, the only issues that will show up are the ones that have the label bug. You can also do things like by assignee. If it's assigned to Metz and around, show me those. No results right now. Nothing's assigned to me. But let's see how many are assigned to best student. There's 3 assigned to best student. So this search bar gives you a bunch of different options. And in fact, when you just click into it, it shows you all these different options that you can use to navigate around. You can see there's a lot of things in here that you can do. So let's go back to just the regular list. And I'm going to click into, let's click into this one, add authorization workflow. So a project can be more than one repo. Yes. So a project can span across repos, to answer your question. But issues are tied to a specific repo. So you can have multiple issues from different repos inside a single project, but it's up to you how you want to make the project work. So I'll show you the project after I do issues for sure. Okay. So I made this issue. This whole idea is like it's a fake website project that you might assign to students. And the idea is there's a group of students that are all working to build this thing together. And so all working together, we're making these issues say who's working on what. So Horton is going to make the auth workflow for the website. The auth workflow visitor should be able to log in with Gmail or Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I want to make sure I say it really clear. This is kind of a quote bad issue. It doesn't have a lot of information. It's one sentence, but this is all just to show you how issues work. This is not necessarily show you how to write great issues. A great issue says, this is what we want to do. This is why we want to do it. This is the process by which we're going to do it. And this is what finished looks like. A really good issue lays out everything that needs to be done for the piece of work. In this case, I had to make a bunch of these so I could just demo it. And I just want you to understand the functionality of issues as opposed to like how you would use it in like a real world scenario. But just to say, best practice is what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and what done looks like are great things to include in an issue. All right. Can a repo be tied to more than one project? Yes. 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 Multiple projects are possible. All right. So inside every issue, what you'll see also is like a log of what's been happening inside the issue. So you'll see I added it to a milestone back in April. I self-assigned it. I added it to a project. I added labels. I moved this to to-do. I changed the title. I moved it to blocked. Like all of these things that happen to the issue get logged here so you can always see what's happening. You can add comments to issues at any point. Remember, it's meant to be a conversation with the team. And then down here, again, this is me telling Horton, who doesn't seem to hear me, that we're going to fail if we don't get the auth going. So in this way, imagine you've got a group assignment for students and you teach them how to use issues to divvy up the work. As an educator, you could go in and be like, hey, Bob, I noticed that you haven't really been doing a lot of work on the project. Your issues are still open, and I haven't seen you really commit anything. Is everything okay? Right? You can check in with students to make sure they understand what's going on. Additionally, I know when I was a teacher, every time I did group work, students would come up to me and say, so-and-so didn't really do a lot of work, and it was really hard to finish the project. And in the past, I had like no way of knowing if that was really true or not. Obviously, I would talk to the students and try and figure it out. But that issue of like, I don't know how to verify whether he really did the work or not, other than y'all said so. In GitHub, if you're having them do it here, you can actually see their commits in the project. You can see who's doing the work and who's not. So it's a great way to create some sort of accountability for your student group projects as well, especially if it's something like building with code. So let me see over here on the right, we have assignees who's assigned to it. And I'm the only one in this repo, so I'm the only person that you can assign it to because I'm the only one inside of this repo. But everyone who's added to a repo as a collaborator who has access can be assigned an issue. Labels, like I said, there's tons of different labels. You can make your own labels and you can always edit them as well. For instance, I don't need a won't fix because I'm not going to be using that. So I'm just going to delete that label. We don't need that label. But for each label, when you go to make a new one, you can pick the label name, so what shows up, can add a description, and you can pick the color, either the hex code you want yourself, or you can have it just kind of randomly go. I'll say that for my purposes, when I have a lot of labels, I color code them to mean different things. So for my program that I run at work, the students are running events all over the world, and the labels that we use inside of that project are for the country that the event is going to be happening in. All the countries are blue. All the labels that are about an action a GitHub employee has to take in order to help the issue is orange. So color coding them where like similar things are a specific color is another great way that you can manage your projects and your work inside of GitHub. So let's go back out of labels. I'm backing up to here. Here you can see what projects the issue is assigned to, and you can even hit a drop-down menu if you've got multiple fields to show. And here you can actually unselect it as well from any projects if you want. You can see I've got another untitled project that I had created before that I still have to delete, unfortunately. Lastly is milestones right here. For a milestone, you're just saying what the due date is. And you see I've created week 1 planning and setup, week 2 building the site. You see these are past due because I created this a long time ago. If I wanted to change, sorry. If I wanted to change that, milestones are under projects, right? No, hold on. Let me get to milestones real quick. Right here under issues. So I can go in here and I can edit these milestones. So let's change that due date instead of April 25th. Let's make it a little more manageable and make it June 25th. Save changes. And then let's go back to milestones. And then let's change week 1, edit that to be June 18th. So now those won't show as overdue anymore because the due date has changed. So let me go back to authorization workflow. And you can see now it says due by June 17th, 2026. It also tells you what percentage complete it is. And that idea is like anything that's been assigned to this milestone, when you complete it, it obviously marks it as complete. So you can know how close you are to being done for everything assigned to that milestone. Okay. Awesome. Down here is the relationships tab. This is where if you want to make a parent issue, you can. So you can have sub issues, and you can actually see that right here, create a sub issue. So maybe your big issue is some large, really big piece of work, but there's little things that need to be done underneath. You can create sub issues for those, and you can mark those relationships here. Additionally, for development, this will tie to branches and pull requests that are related to the issue. So you can add that relationship as well here. And then if you want notifications on or off, you'll get notification emails if you are subscribed. And if you're unsubscribed, you won't get any notifications. If you want to know what's going on inside of this issue, you want to be subscribed to it and you want to be getting the notifications. And then, of course, participants, everyone in here who has done anything inside that issue is considered a participant. So that is issues. When you're here in issues, you can make a new one by clicking this green new issue button. And when you're making a new issue, it's title, description, and then assignees, labels, projects, and milestones. You can pick all of that right here. Again, this is Markdown, so if you want to write in Markdown, you can. One of the cool things we do have inside of GitHub Markdown are called slash commands. And with Markdown, you have a few things you can do. A Markdown table, some of you may have seen that you can do tables. You do a table, you can say, I want it to be 3 columns and I want it to be 4 rows. And it makes this table for you in Markdown that when you look at preview, you have a nice clean table here that all you have to do is change what's inside of here. And you'll see it makes a nice, neat little table for you. There are several slash commands that you can use. You can make alerts, you can insert code blocks, you can add some details. And if you have saved replies, which this is very advanced now, you can insert a saved reply that you're constantly having to use all the time if you add that to your profile. All right. So, like I said, it's a title, it's a description, it's all these things that I have told you about before. And then you would click create, and that makes the issue and adds it to your issue list. I'm not going to create this one because it's maybe the worst issue I've ever made. All right, I saw a question. Once I created a repo for students to access a template later, do a push to their complete task in my repo for tracking purposes, issues would be valuable. However, this is more for a team of devs working a project. Yeah, the intended purpose of issues, you're absolutely correct, is for teams of devs working on a project. One of the reasons I encourage educators to bring this in when they're using GitHub is because that's how they're going to be building it eventually. So if you've got students working on individual assignments, perhaps issues doesn't work for that. But another way you could use issues is you could have a repository that's just a like get help repository. And you could have an issue in there that students could open up, and you can use something called an issue template, which is a little more complex than what we're getting into today. But an issue template means a new issue when it's created automatically has some text involved in it. Let me think of where I could show off an issue template real quick, because I don't want to show off any work that I don't want to show that's private. Do I have an issue template somewhere? I think so. Hold on one second. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick. I want to show you all what an issue template kind of looks like because it is valuable. And it's the kind of thing that makes when someone else is making issues and you want them to make an issue the correct way, the issue template can help. So let me stop sharing for 1 second and pull something up for y'all.
I added one in the chat, PJ, if you want to use that one as an example, and it's open source, so feel free to use it.
Oh, Ari, you're a saint. Everyone loves Ari.
Everyone loves PJ. I'm a big fan.
Somewhat, sometimes. All right, let me bring in this. Okay, so an issue template, and we're going to look at the code, starts with some front matter up top where you say the name of the issue template, what's it about, and then what's the title going to look like, what labels will be assigned, and who's going to be assigned to it. So you create in Markdown, this is what the issue is going to look like. This is what I need inside of this issue. These are the steps I need. This is what I have to have from you. So this one is for a skill exercise outline. So if I went here to issues and I click new issue, it brings up, these are the templates that are available on here. You can make a blank issue, or here, that's the template we were just looking at, GitHub skills exercise. And if I click that, it opens up the title and it says, hey, replace me. But then in here, all of this is instructions for the person who's going to be creating the issue. You can put instructions in here. You can tell them exactly what to do. And that's so much better than new issue, blank issue, because it's just empty. So if you want people opening issues for specific reasons, templates are a great way to do it. I've said before, you can do it like I need help with homework, or I have a question about an assignment. You can do it as an issue, and then students can post it publicly, and either the educator can get to it and help them in the issue and give them feedback or help them figure something out, or another student can even pick it up and get the help there. And yes, perfect. Okay, thank you for that. That was so easy. You made that so easy for me, dude. Okay, that's issues. We need to talk about, and we talked about milestones as well. Let's talk about projects now. So this is a project I created. It's a private project that is linked with the fake website learning issues and projects. So when I click this, this is the view we get of our project. And this might be familiar with some of you who have used Kanban boards before, because this is a Kanban view. So in here, we've got automatic things are created: to do, in progress, blocked, and done. These are statuses for each of these issues. So you can see right here, create homepage wireframe is marked as done. You can see add a contributing guide and a definition of done. That's done. These are tasks that have been completed. This is work that's finished. Over here, this hasn't been picked up or started yet. So let's say we want to work on fix 404 handling and add a friendly not found page. Fun fact, the GitHub logo started out as our 404 error page before we made it our logo. So let's say I realize I'm going to work on that in the project. I grab it, I move it over here to in progress. I'm going to click right here into the issue, and it's going to open the issue from the right. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, I'm happy to take this on. I'm going to comment that. So now this is like work that needs to be done. And you can see this is a much better issue. Copilot made this issue for me. Thank you, Copilot. It's got a lot more information in it. But I'm saying, hey, I'm going to take this on. You know what? Up here, I'm going to assign it to myself. So now it's assigned and we know who's in charge of it. Okay. So what I did is I was able to drag things around inside of this Kanban board. I'm able to click into each issue and I can very quickly read through and see what's going on. If you're a project manager and that's your job, this is the most valuable thing that you can have, is a way to look at what everyone's working on and to quickly go in and chat with folks and see what's going on. Hey, how is this going? Hey, I know this was stuck last week. How are you doing? Things like that, looking for an update. All that kind of stuff can be done inside of issues. Let's say it was going well, but the image we wanted to use is copy written. So we need a new one. And copywritten is not a word, but let's change that and the image. So we need a new one. I can comment this, and then I can be like, hey, this is blocked now until we get that image. Everything's ready. We just need the image figured out. So now it's under blocked. And, you know, again, you can look and see automatically what the status is here. And then let's say we ended up finishing it. All we do is drag it over to done. And you may notice some similar colors here. Earlier when we were working with pull requests, purple meant it was merged, and green meant it was open. Same here. Issue open is green with that little circle with a dot in it, and purple with a check mark means it's completed. And for the question about how educators will use this, to be honest, that is kind of entirely up to you. I think of it as like not a classroom management thing, but I think of it as a way to kind of interact with students and to make sure that, you know, if I were doing this in a classroom, I'd be most concerned with like making sure the students understand how it works. And so I might use it for like, you know, your assignment on the first, you know, week of class is to open up an issue introducing yourself to me, things like that. You could use it to like indicate things that need to get done in people's projects. In fact, let's say your students are working on a project and they have a repo that they all have access to for their group project. You could go in and open issues to give them heads up on things. Hey, you know, I just wanted you to know I was looking at your project. I noticed this file is acting a little funny. When I tried to run it locally, it didn't seem to work. Are you all aware of that? Et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But it's basically Jira. Yep, that's what it is. It's just instead of being a separate, you know, product and company that you're using, it's just built into GitHub and it's connected directly to the work you're already doing because it's in the repository where your code exists. Okay. All right, so that's the Kanban view of projects, but over here we have another view that's just a list view. And you can see we've got new fields showing up here. So there's the assignees field. This is the status field. And in the status field, you can obviously change the settings. You can add more fields if it's like, so let's see, to do, in progress, block, done, reworking maybe could be one. So reworking might work. And let's make that red to make it a little scarier and more urgent sounding. But you can change each field. You can, you can add new fields, things like the labels that are there. And it will show you all the labels here. And let's scroll down. You can add things like what repository is it from? Who were the reviewers? When was it created? When was it updated? When was it closed? And you can just create a whole new field with field types as well, if you'd like to. Awesome. I love that y'all are giving each other examples in the chat too. That's fantastic. So this one is a chart, and this is mostly for due dates. This is like a roadmap, and it's going to show you like if you've got due dates on here, it'll show you. Let me see. We're in June. I know some of these are supposed to have a due date on there. Let's see. New field, date fields, markers, April, May, June. We're June 10th. So this is it's just another type of view that's more of like not a calendar view, but like a date view. Mostly when I'm doing things, I tend to look at Kanban. Sometimes I look at this. But this is all the basics of these three project management tools. Yes, and again, the nice thing about that example, I love that. Yeah, it teaches them to work collaboratively. Code isn't built by one person unless it's OpenClaw. And now it's not built by one person. He built it first, but now there's a whole team of maintainers. Or if it's Git and you're Linus Torvalds. But again, in the real world, it's more the rule than the exception that you're not building anything alone. You're on a team, and knowing how to work within that team is one of the best indicators, or rather one of the best characteristics of someone that's going to go far in the business. Everyone wants a good teammate. No one wants the world's best engineer that can't work with anyone else. Know what I'm saying? Okay, let me get back to this. Are there any questions about projects? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you all time to like mess around with issues and projects on your own and ask questions. Yes, there are project management standards in a lot of CTE and these classes. So teaching waterfall and agile, you may be teaching things like DevOps and stuff like that, which is the next step after agile. And a lot of modern software uses DevOps. But yes, incorporating project management in a classroom is super important. I love that you're already doing it. So I kind of want to take a step back and speak in a meta way about all the things that we've been doing. And I just saw your question. I'll make sure I'll get that after my little diatribe here. A lot of the way that modern education works, and not just in computer science, is we're teaching students individually. And all through graduating college, it's a lot about your individual work. But as soon as you get into the quote real world, you're expected to work on a team, and you're expected to understand team dynamics, and you're expected to understand how that all works. And we've tried for a long time to make that work with more group projects, with more real world style projects. So maybe not a sequence, Michael. But the idea is that modern education and the way that education has existed for a while, it focuses on like a student as an individual proving they can do the thing. And I think that we need more opportunities for students to use the tools that are being used in the industry they want to go into, because it's kind of just expected that you know this. Like when you get a job, one of the reasons you get a job in software engineering is because you understand all the tools that are being used. So if you were in a classroom the whole time and you never really built anything outside of those classrooms, you don't have as much experience building the way that real software is getting built. And so these opportunities to show students GitHub and to make sure they're engaging with this platform and this product and these things, these tools inside of GitHub, it prepares them for what comes next. And it gives them just that open door to start exploring on their own, which is very much what I've been trying to do with you all in these two sessions. This is all about just demystifying some pieces of GitHub, so that you are more comfortable with it so you can continue learning on your own. Because that initial, I don't know what I'm looking at, I don't know what I'm doing, how do I use this, is what stops a lot of people. So now you've got this great base knowledge that you can go and build on top of and keep working on. Okay. Questions in the chat. Are projects scoped to a user account or GitHub organization or both or something else? They are scoped to a bunch of things. So let me pull up the docs real quick. GitHub projects docs. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can use them and connect them to. So creating a project, let's do that one. So you can have an organization project. You can have a user project. But you will be adding repos to all of that. So here's the docs on that. And yeah, Michael, it's not the next step. It's not like a sequence, really. They're kind of different methodologies, really. But I will say DevOps was invented after Agile, at least. Okay. Let me pull up this. We just did that. Projects in action. We done did it. Like I said, those docs, let me see, did I actually put it in there? Yeah. So the Learn with PJ link that I put in there for projects and issues, this is, where did it go? Right here. So this is a thing that you can do. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes, but it creates a scenario of organizing a school project. Basically, the project that I just showed you, the repo I showed you with the website project tracker and the, let's go back a little bit to the actual repo too. Where are you? There we go. So all of this stuff, this repo and all of that is basically what I created. And when I finished creating it, I said, okay, so like here's how you would do the same thing. And this whole activity is just so you can get used to clicking around and knowing where to go to do things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave y'all to this for the final 20 minutes of this session. This is time for you to mess with and work on issues and assign stuff to people, and mostly to yourself. But this is your chance to mess around and play. And I will be here inside of the chat to answer any questions. Let me check the Q&A real quick, see what's in there. What view templates? I think that got answered. Awesome. Thank you. Make it Copilot Pro. It's Copilot Student for Students. Are all branches visible? If you don't want anyone to branch off your experimental branch, this is a question in the Q&A. So it asked, are all branches visible to others? Can you make a branch without someone else knowing? And essentially, what if I do not want anyone to branch off my experimental branch? Depending on how someone has access to a repo, all the branches, I think, are basically visible. So you can't really make like a private branch. But if you don't want anyone to branch off your experimental branch, that would be just communication. Hey, I'm messing with this. Don't make a branch off of it. And really, most people are not branching off of other branches. I don't think I've ever done a branch off someone else's branch unless I was trying to fix something they asked me to fix. And then I would make a branch, make the fix, and merge it back into that same branch. So I think I answered that. After you merged, deleted, Copilot student, table board. Thank you. Thanks for answering all those questions in the Q&A, y'all. Fantastic. Okay, so last 20 minutes, like I said, take some time, mess around, make some issues, make some projects. All the instructions are right here inside of the GitHub 101 activities. There's a lot in here, but like it's up to you. Really, this is a chance to kind of play around a little bit. And I'm here for questions if you need me. A boo boo boo. This one that I'm showing right now, Michael, that's going to be right. Yeah. And that's all the activities that I offer as part of my like learning GitHub series that I do pretty often. So that's where we did the profile README, using issues in projects, working locally if you want to learn how to work locally. I just did this for the first time with some Chicago teachers recently. This one takes a little more work, but it's worth it for you to know how to work locally. But we are doing issues in projects right now. Yes, very late in Copenhagen. Oh, I love Copenhagen. Oh, take me back. Yes, recordings will be shared along with like slides and everything. We're going to be making sure to share those out with attendees. No problem. I don't think we've shared it yet, but it will be. Morgan can probably answer that better. Mm, mm, mm. The activities for tomorrow. Yeah, let me grab that link again. We are looking for.
I got it.
Sweet. Thank you. I know where I could have got that in my clipboard history. Good night. Thanks for coming. Enjoy living in Copenhagen. Man, what a city. Mm, mm, mm. I know, yeah, trying to get verified as a teacher, not working. One of us is gonna start working on that for you and see what we can figure out. I believe we have someone working on it in our chat. Yeah, yeah, we are working on it. I'm really sorry that it's taking so long. Thank you, Nandini. Getting rejected every time. Yeah, we are. I think I can see some of my colleagues in Slack chatting with each other, trying to figure things out for you. I'm sorry again. That's I know that's not a great experience. Just a reminder to the rest of you. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, if folks are having a hard time, the new link, which I will reshare again, basically it gives the grading, like your grading to actually pass and get benefits. It's like very likely that it'll happen with the new link. If you're still having trouble and you feel comfortable chatting it in the Q&A, we can check via a specific email address, but we can't just like see it just saying like I get rejected. We would need a little bit more information. You can also, if you're available to join us in the afternoon player learning session, we'll have a whole breakout room dedicated to troubleshooting with folks on this. So if it's possible that you can wait till the end of the day, we can also help you a little bit later. Thanks.
Nice. Thanks, Morgan. Ellie, if you put your email address in the Q&A, this is the team that's going to be able to help you most, honestly, for right now. And with the email address associated with your GitHub account, we should be able to help you out. Oh wait, Adele, were you had the one that wasn't able to access the Q&A button as well? There's a little Q&A button where when you send it, it doesn't send to everybody. But let me think. I know what we're gonna do. How about this? Email me, and we'll make sure the email gets to our team so we can start checking it out. Because I can share my email with everyone. I don't want you all to share your email in a chat with a million people, especially if you can't get the Q&A, which we know some people for some reason can't access the Q&A button. No, please don't be sorry. We're here to help you. This is our job. This is what I get paid for. This is why I can forward all this nonsense behind me. So no need to be sorry. We're just trying to make sure we can actually help you. Mm, mm, mm. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Hey, that's going right in my brag doc. Might even tweet that one. We do have a break coming up at the top of the hour. And then at 3:30 will be our next session. For now, we're just letting you mess around with GitHub and do the thing. And just so everyone knows, one of my favorite resources to give to people after I do these GitHub 101 and 102 sessions is learn.github.com. And I'm sure you'll be hearing more about this. But learn.github.com is a website where you can learn how to use GitHub by using GitHub, in addition to see a bunch of courses and certifications available. Absolutely, absolutely fantastic resource. And now that you have this great base understanding of how to use GitHub in general, learn.github.com is going to be your best friend. So learn.github.com looks like this. It asks you to sign in first. So let me, I have never signed in on my my student account and everything. But one of the places I point people to now is to skills. And this is where you can do like an intro to GitHub, Markdown, and then making static sites. But the sections here are on things like how to use Git, how to do pull requests, repo management, code spaces, which is fantastic. It's so good. A whole bunch on Copilot if you've never really used Copilot, using actions, security, and if you're switching from Azure DevOps. But really, these skills are great because what it is it takes you to a repository, and the README has instructions on what you're going to learn, what you're going to do, and it tells you how to do it. And the way you do it is you just click this, and it copies the exercise to your username, right? And when you do that, it opens the new repository. And what it does is it uses some GitHub actions on the back to refresh over time and let you know the work you're doing. So down here, you'll see copy your exercise, give it about 20 seconds, and then refresh the page. This will all be updating, and it will help guide you through whatever the lesson is. Absolutely amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. And so like once this, let me see, let's see, did I wait 20 seconds enough? Bam. So when you refresh, it says, hey, I'm Mona. Let's go to the exercise. When you click it, it takes you to an issue that's automatically been opened, and it shows you what it's asking you to do. And as you follow the steps, it watches your progress, and it will continually update for you when you've completed the steps it's asked you to complete. So great, great, great resource for you. Great resource for students. Highly recommend the skills on GitHub Learn. We also have a bunch of courses here from Microsoft Learn and from GitHub itself about all types of products. And we also have a list of credentials that are offered. So now that you've learned with me and you got through that first initial difficulty, we got you. Go ahead.
Yes. Hey, Morgan again. So what PJ just showed you about the skills, it's really important to just kind of like pop in there maybe in the next 20 or so minutes, because Ari is going to blow your mind with making custom versions of that for different purposes that you may have. So if you want to make a custom skill for your classroom that's about some specific topic that you're learning that week, this like that you can do that. And it's pretty incredible. And or you could do it, for if you want to learn something for yourself, or if you have a special workshop that you're going to be leading and you want to have like a special skill for that workshop. It allows you to, track that learning, because folks have to do those steps in order for actions to know that they passed those steps and they can move forward in that specific skill. So it's a really great tool to use. And I'm excited for the next session because Ari's going to show us how to do some fun things with skills and the skills exercises.
Yeah. Excellent. So excited that honestly, when I found out about this, I was like, so all I have to do is get people ready to do this, and then people can teach themselves. And then they own their own learning, which, intrinsic motivation for learning is what we're trying to get every student to have. So I'm going to stop sharing. That is a wrap for PJ until after Ari's session. I'll be back at 4:30 Pacific time. 4:30 Pacific time? Yeah, 4:30 Pacific time. For questions to help you out. And that time at the end of the day is very much for you to ask as many questions as you need to get the help and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I will be back. Thank you all for your patience and attention. This is really something I get excited about. Like, the ability to continue to teach people, even though I've switched careers, means a lot to me. And to continue to be on a team that values education like this, it's the kind of thing that a lot of people don't get. And I'm super stoked that I get to be a part of this team and that I got to help all of you a little bit today. So thank you for coming. We are taking a break. Morgan, I don't know if you want to tell us it's break time or we just want to take the break. But yeah, thanks for coming, y'all. Stoked that I got to be here. Take the break. All right. Back here in 30 minutes. We will see you all at 2:30 Pacific time. And again, if you do have to leave, of course, obviously we're recording all of this, but we'll be back with Ari all about creating custom skills. It's going to be awesome. Going to be super excited. See you all in about 25 to 30 minutes.